Welcome to the Evolution Podcast, guys. And today is just going to be the real talk. It's just basically a short conversation where I'm basically having a conversation with you about real world matters. Now, here's what we're going to be talking about today. We're going to talk about America's obsessions with side hustle. Okay. There is just obsession with having this, how would I call it? Extra income, like this lack of content with, whatever job that it may be. Oh, it probably might be like, you just envious or you see, people online and you're like, man, you know what? This guy's making 1 million. I'm smarter than this guy, so I should have a side hustle. So in this video, I'm going to cover a few things, right? I'm going to cover why there's that obsession with side hustles. And then I'm also going to cover, what is the average income that you can expect to make at a side hustle? And then what's the age group of people that are in side hustles? And honestly, is a side hustle really something that is ideal for you? So if it's your first time, just go ahead and do me a favor and hit the like button, subscribe. And obviously, I know you're going to like this video ahead of time. So that's why I'm just basically giving you that heads up right now. Go ahead and like the video and go ahead and subscribe to the video. So let's go ahead and talk about it, right? So 45% of Americans report, according to a 2022 survey, that they have a side hustle of some sort, right? Heck, you can even call this podcast a side hustle, right? Now, why do people have side hustles? Why even bother going into a side hustle? Why even say, you know what, I want to have a side hustle, right? Are they dissatisfied? Is it that you need extra income? Now, the average income in which you can make in a side hustle is roughly about $1,122 a month, 11 to probably 1,300. Now, ask yourself this. It usually takes about, give or take, an average of 11 hours a week just to be able to generate this. So you're working an average of 40 hours a month to make $1,100 in a month. Okay, so do the math. Does the means actually justify? Is the juice worth the squeeze? Rather, for lack of a better word, is it worth the squeeze to actually go into having a side hustle? Right? Okay, so you're probably saying, all right, you know what, Emmanuel? I have a side hustle. My job doesn't pay me enough money. You know what? I work at Starbucks. I work at this. I work at that, and I make $2,500 a month, and I want to make more money. Now, here's the catch-22 with having a side hustle. If you were to go to college today, right, and you went to college for 4 years, right, you do not expect to make money for that 4 years. I don't know anyone that goes to college in the first 4 years and goes, you know what, I am going to be a millionaire in my first 4 years of college. No one ever goes, oh my God, I'm going to make a lot of money. No, when you go to college for the first 4 years, you're usually going, you know what, I'm here to learn a skill. I'm here to get a degree. And then afterwards, I'm going to get out. And once I get out of college, you know what, I should be making this amount of money, right? But for the first 4 years, you've already resigned yourself to the fact that you're not going to be making that much money, right? So now, why is it that when you get into a side hustle, most people are like, you know what, I am going to hustle on the side to make extra money, right? Which honestly, if you just put in the extra time into the work that you currently have, you probably will be making a lot more money, right? So the whole concept of side hustles is honestly, most people just are going at it with the wrong mindset, right? So personally, what do I think, right? If a lot of people are going at it in the sense as to you're dissatisfied with your job, you're not making enough money, and you want to get to a better pace in life, right? You need to focus on the fact as to this is the key to success. So I was talking to a friend of mine a couple days ago, and I was like, you know what? And this is a scenario, and he was like, he makes about roughly about what 18, 19 grand a month, right? And I was like, okay, so we're having a conversation, and I was like, do you know that the reason why you're getting paid, the amount of money you're getting paid is in regards to two things. It's one is the degree of responsibility that you have and the difficulty that there is in replacing you, right? Now, here's the catch-22 with most people's side hustles. They go ahead and go into side hustles where they are easily replaceable. They get into side hustles where, you know what, John is doing the same side hustle, Mary's doing the same side hustle, Joe is doing the same side hustle, and you just go ahead and get into it thinking, you know what, you're going to make that much money. Here's the God's honest truth. If 9 out of 10 people are already doing it, the first person that got into it is probably the one making the most money. All right, I'm going to say this again. If 9 out of 10 people are already doing it, the first person that got into it is the one that's making the most money. There is only one Facebook, one WhatsApp, one Instagram, one TikTok. There are multiple other apps that came before them. But for some reason, there's only one. Okay, I want you to sit down. I want you to understand this again. There's only one of these apps. Now, what does that mean? Does that mean in which people cannot create Facebook? No, it's super easy to duplicate Facebook. It's super easy to clone and create Facebook. But the catch-22 and the problem with it is here's where the problem is. If it's already working and you come into that and then you're like, you know what, I'm going to, copy this exact same model, it's not going to work for you because you have to be different, right? That's the whole point of competition, right? And the catch-22 with side hustles is most people are not being different And the difficulty that there is in replacing them is very easy. And here's another thing. Most majority of people get into side hustles. And honestly, here's the God's honest truth. They're going at it for the money. They're not going at it to learn the skill. Let's backtrack. Remember when I said the college deal? I was like, hey, you go to college. You don't go to college expecting to be rich straight off the bat, right? You go at it to get a degree, right? Same thing is when you start a side hustle, if you start a side hustle for the position and the purpose of, you know what, I'm going to be rich in 6 months, honestly, you are going to end up losing money, right? Another scenario, I was talking to another guy I went to my favorite restaurant and I ordered, what do you call this stuff? I ordered some food, right? And we're having a conversation. This guy invested, a few five figures into a trucking business, right? He invested a few five figures in a trucking business. And I was like, you know what, man? Just flat out, just ask you, do you know anything about trucking? You know what he said? No. Okay. He's like, we have somebody else on the team that knows a little bit about trucking. And this guy is the guy in which we're going to for, whenever we have any questions. I was like, okay, so who's driving the trucks? He is. Who's running the operations? He is. Who's in all this stuff? He is. How much are you paying him? This much per mile. I'm like, dude, you invested in a business. He's like, yeah, that's my side hustle. I was like, you invested heavily into a business that you know nothing about. And you're not even investing into getting the skill sets and understanding that business. He's like, yeah, because I'm giving it like a year and a half. It doesn't work, I'll just pull out. I'm like, a year and a half, and you might as well just take that money and just light it on fire. Because the fact that you're saying you're going to give a year and a half into a side hustle, if it doesn't make any profit, or you're just going to trash it. The problem is not the business. The problem is the fact that you are not investing in yourself, putting the time to learning the business. I'm like, dude, and there was another businessman that we were talking, and he was like, dude, you didn't invest in a CDL. You need to invest in a CDL. You need to get your CDL license, right? You need to invest in CDL. You need to get yourself the skill set in which you can go out there and you can go ahead and drive some trucks, right? You need to go out there and go ahead and start driving trucks, because trust me, that business is you setting yourself up for failure because it's only relying on one person, okay? If that guy decides to pull out tomorrow, guess what? Your business is done. You don't have a business, right? You guys basically work for him, right? Now, with regards to the financial aspect of things, as far as how much money you can make, I don't want to make this any bit longer as to that it's supposed to be. Is how much money you can make on a side hustle, honestly, is dependent on, remember, I backtrack, in the difficulty that there is in replacing you. If your side hustle is consulting and you've been in consulting for 5-6 years and you have a proven track record, and your niche in which you're consulting in is there's only a few of you that is in that niche, so your competition is pretty much minuscule. What you're faced with now is you can charge whatever you want, because if I'm putting in 11 hours a week, because here's the number one problem people have with side hustles, okay? You want to know what the number one problem people have when they have side hustles? The number one problem you have when you have side hustles is time. Okay? Time. You're working a full-time job at 40 to 50 hours a week, and then you put in another 11 hours. That's 60 hours a week which you put into your side hustle. You don't have enough time for family if you have family. You don't have enough time for friends if you have friends. You don't have enough time for hobbies. Your life is pretty much going to be just, for lack of a better word, I would say boring, but honestly, it's just going to be tragic. Right? Because you're really not moving headway. You're not moving the ball down the goalpost. Okay? You're not moving the ball down the goalpost, right? So here's what I would say is you need to get the skill sets in your side hustle. You need to invest in yourself to be able to have the knowledge in which your expertise makes you difficult to replace. Okay? And then you need to take a high responsibility on it. And also, here's another catch-22. And I know I'm rambling about side hustles, and honestly, this is why it's called the real talk, right? It's called the real talk because me and you having a conversation is straight off the bat. I'm going to say this too. Okay? If you're dissatisfied with your job that you're currently in, okay? You're probably dissatisfied with your job. That's why you have a side hustle. Or you're probably you think like it's not stable being at this job. That's the reason why you are considering having a side hustle. Or already have a side hustle. I'm going to say this. I think, yes, having a side skill set that you're developing, 100% important, okay? But to expect that you're going to get off the bat and, start this new, MLM business that you started, start selling shakes, or start doing door-to-door, start selling insurance, or start selling software, or start selling SaaS, honestly, you're probably going to end up losing money, right? But I'm going to tell you this. Look at it from a perspective as you are losing money, from a perspective that you are investing in yourself, investing in your skill sets. Kind of like most of you might know Alex Hormozy. You know, a lot of people ask him, what stock should I invest in? Should I invest in the S&P 500? Should I invest in, the NASDAQ? Should I invest in this? And he's like, honestly, why do that? Right? Because if you invest in, whatever return and it gives you 8%, but then you invest in your skill sets, in which now you are at a point in which you go from your income goes from 100,000 to 200,000 to 300,000, 400,000. Now you're actually going from instead of getting like a 4% guaranteed return or 4% non-guaranteed return, you're getting a 500%, 200% because it's based on your skill set, right? So you might be dissatisfied with your job, which is perfectly fine. 100%. It's fine. Most people get into careers because you get into that career at 22, 23, and then you're like, I don't like doing this. That's fine. Get a side skill set. Learn something that in which you are difficult to replace, right? It's the degree of difficulty in replacing you is very high, right? There's a reason why the CEOs make more money than regular employees. And that's because honestly, it's not a lot of people want to be CEOs. A lot of people say they want to be CEOs, but not a lot of people are made up for it because the amount of stress that comes with it, because you're not out there in like getting down and dirty, but there's a lot of operational management. Honestly, the operational management of things sometimes takes a mental toll on you. So most people obsess with side hustles. I honestly think if you're going to go ahead and do a side hustle, just remember, is this something that I can do for the next 10 to 20 years? Okay. Is this something you can do for the next 10 to 20 years? If it's not something you're going to stick with for the next 10 to 20 years, then it's not a side hustle. Don't look at it as, I'm trying to make some extra money. No, you're just losing money. Work extra at your job. Work extra at the job that you have. If it's something you think, okay, this is a 10 to 20 year run, then 100%, I think yes, your side hustle eventually will become your main hustle. Because here's the truth. Here's the God's honest truth. I'm going to say this again. I'm going to say this a little slower. Part-time jobs or part-time side hustles cause full-time problems. Every business is going to cause problems. You just got to understand something is this a problem that I'm willing to solve, get better at, and keep going for the next 10 to 20 years? If it's not a 10 to 20 year run, then don't do it. If you're going to start a SaaS business and you're not going to do it for the next 10 to 20 years, don't do it. If you're just doing things to make extra money, honestly, let me tell you something. You're going to end up getting more frustrated and it's going to be really, really boring 90% of the time, right? So, like I said, this is the first take I'm actually doing here on the Real Talk, where I just basically go ahead and talk about real world situations as far as business and entrepreneurship. And if you'd like it, just go ahead and do me a favor and hit the like button. Go ahead and hit the subscribe button. And honestly, leave in the comments what you think about this, right? Is it something, because, I'm going to make about, a few of these and drop them every Fridays or Mondays, kind of figuring out what I want to do there. But that's pretty much it on the Real Talk here. So that's all I got for you guys. Just ensure to like and subscribe, and I will see you guys on a future video.